Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live Manchester United news and transfer news show where we round up all the latest news. Ugarte and the Ligt deals could be off. Manchester United may have a new change in plans. Manchester United could be making some advancements on signing Amrabat. Manchester United working on Fofana, Hjulmand, Zubimendi deals. What is going on? Branthwaite new bid expected. Deals not off. Mazraoui coming in. Wan-Bissaka going. Toney getting closer to moving away. There's just a lot of stories going about. It's very clear that is something different happening? Fofana, Hjulmand, Amrabat. Is there a plan for Toby Collier in there? Is it going to be one midfielder? Is it going to be two midfielders? Who's going to be the midfielder? Who's going to be the next signing? Is the Ligt actually off? Is this a game? What's the latest on Chalobah? What's the latest on Branthwaite? Well, we're going to round up all of that, as well as some updates on the tour. Garnacho may know a couple of key players will not make it on tour. Xerxes may not make it on tour as well. And I've had a bit of a headache all day, so I am going to put my sunglasses on for this stream. So I do apologise if it looks a bit weird, but my head is sort of gone with the brightness of my computer. So that's why it's on, if you're wondering. Just to see if I could go live a bit longer, because I've just had issues looking at my laptop all day. But I thought, you know what, we've got to do a live stream. There's a lot of information coming out. I cancelled my live stream earlier. I do feel a bit. But let's get into the news. Let's get into the stories. Pacho is a centre-back that United have had a look at. He can play left-back. He can play left centre-back. I do think that he is a very good option for Man United. And I think that we've only had a look at him. We've only been linked to him by outer sources. But if we can get a proper, reliable source linking us to him, that would be great as well. If Sancho goes to PSG, it'll be a loan, not buying him, especially if they want Neves. His wage is a massive problem. That is the worry. The reason they're asking for so much for Ugarte is because they want us to pay for their Neves signing, essentially, as well. But yeah, we're going to get into the news. We're going to get into the stories. We've got some updates on Sancho leaving. We've got some updates on some outs as well. We've got some updates on the tour. But let's start with these first few signings. Stories. So Fabrizio Romano said this: Manchester United had contact with Monaco to understand the situation of some of their players, including Van der Sar. Now, Van der Sar, if you're not familiar with him, he plays right back at Monaco. Very good right back, very attacking-minded right back. Good option there. It looks like we want more attacking-minded fullbacks. Romano then said, in terms of midfielders, Manchester United keep mentioning the names of Manuel Ugarte and Amrabat internally. Now, interestingly, there is some reports coming from reliable sources that we are actually having talks about lowering the fee needed to bring in Amrabat and discussing bringing in Amrabat. Now, my honest opinion is Amrabat is a last-ditch option. I think we'll leave Amrabat to the end. So if we can't get who we want, we'll get Amrabat. Last-ditch option. That's what I think Amrabat really is. We're still talking about Ugarte. We still want Ugarte. There's still interest there, but PSG are not lowering the price. Now, I think the fact that we've been linked to Zubimendi, Fofana and Hjulmand all in the last few days, saying that United are advancing on this, saying that United are advancing on that, might be a game to get Ugarte price down. I still think we want Ugarte. However, with Branthwaite, we couldn't get Branthwaite, we got Euro. I think United are saying, look, when we couldn't get Branthwaite, we got Euro. If we're not going to get Ugarte, we'll get this guy. No one's going to pay what you want for Ugarte. Ugarte wants us. Lower the price, PSG, or we're going for this guy. It's a game. PSG are just saying we need them to spend big because we want to bring in Ostenholm, Jao Neves and Sancho, and we want to spend a load of money. That's what PSG are thinking. Now, Morten Hjulmand is a player that Man United have been looking at for a while. I can tell you that for a fact. He's always been near the top of our list. The Muppeteers said this is one to watch. This could be our first choice midfield option. Then when we saw that Ugarte would be available for the price, we moved away from Hjulmand for Ugarte. When Ugarte's off, Hjulmand, Fofana and Zubimendi, I think, are Manchester United's top three options to go into midfield as well. And I think there will be some changes. Muppeteers who've literally on the money with everything said yesterday PSG won't buy Sancho, may only be a loan, and Sancho would be fine to stay at United. So that's an interesting update there. Thank you, Matt Millen. We'll talk about that later in the show. But the Muppeteers have also confirmed Manchester United's interest in Morten Hjulmand for a while. When they did a video about 2 months ago predicting who United would sign, they said that Morten Hjulmand was probably the one we're looking at the most in midfield as well. So sunny in it, Alice. Yeah, if you are wondering why I'm wearing sunglasses, it's because I've had a bit of a headache today and my computer screen is just messing with my head. So the sunglasses just make it less, do you know what I mean, as well? So, oh, the chat is so funny today. But yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate the compliments. Appreciate the funny comments. But it is sunny in it today, isn't it? So, yeah, I think Man United looking at Van Dijk at right back, but I think Mazraoui is probably our number one pick. We've got Ugarte as our number one midfield pick, but if the price doesn't lower, I think Hjulmand, Fofana, Zubimendi, all options we're exploring. I think Amrabat's there if, just in case, all means necessary kind of signing. I do think because we rate Toby Collier so highly and Toby Collier is so highly rated, I do think that it could be one midfield signing, potentially, not two. I think if we sell Casemiro, McTominay, Mejbri and Eriksen, there will definitely be two midfield signings. But the exit of Casemiro is looking less likely. The exit of Sancho is looking less likely. Like, United want Sancho, Eriksen, Casemiro, all of the McTominay, Maguire, Lindelof, all of these players out so they can bring in two midfielders. They can bring in a left back. They can bring in a centre back. If they can get Wan-Bissaka out, they're bringing a right back so they can bring in another winger. Like, INEOS want that, but INEOS have FFP. INEOS have certain amount of money to spend, so we can't necessarily do that. Now, obviously, it was said, and we covered this in my show last night, that Manchester United are in for Yusuf Fofana. Apparently, Monaco are asking 35 million euros, and the credible Demartio did say that Man United and Atletico Madrid have joined the race for Yusuf Fofana. We've also been linked to Zubimendi. Romano confirmed interest in Zubimendi. Romano's confirmed interest in Fofana yesterday as well. Man United are watching Fofana, Hjulmand, and Zubimendi right now. Now, Zubimendi has a release clause of £50 million. Hjulmand, I believe, has a release clause in the same area, but I think Zubimendi is a much better player than Hjulmand. And then, of course, Yusuf Fofana is now available for £25 million-ish. I think we can get him for a little bit less. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Will we do what we did with Xerxes and hijack Fofana to Milan? There is some more advanced talks going on. There is some conversations. There is obviously a report that came out this morning, but it was from a tier 2 source saying that we're having conversations with Fofana. Now, I will tell you this for a fact. I think this week we'll have some clarity on the midfield situation, if I'm going to be totally honest. I think we'll know this week what's going on with the midfield, what's the plan with the midfield, and I think we'll have some clarity on the midfield situation this week. If I was going to be totally honest with you guys, and I'll take the sunglasses off for a bit because my head's feeling a little bit better. If I was going to be totally honest with you guys, I think we will probably get Ugarte, and we'll probably get him next week, and we'll probably get a Here We Go next week. And this Fofana, Hjulmand, Zubimendi stuff is all about getting the Ugarte price lowered. But I do think it's going to move hot this week. If we're interested in Fofana, it's going to happen this week. It's going to get hot. It's going to heat up. So make sure you subscribe to the channel because we'll update you on that. If we're interested in Zubimendi, I think that will only happen if we know that Ugarte is off and potentially Hjulmand could heat up. Hjulmand's one we've been looking at. Hjulmand's one that we're interested in. Same with João Gomez. It's definitely got potential to heat up as well. We will get into this news story here. I've actually got this included in the slide, but new Maino, Shaw, Xerxes, Martinez, Garnacho and Facundo Pellistri will not be involved in pre-season tour, which is a bit frustrating because Shaw's a starter, Maino's a starter, Lisandro Martinez is a starter, Garnacho's a starter. That's 4 starters that aren't going to be on tour, and Xerxes could arguably be a starter as well. And if, as a new player, you kind of want him on tour as well, but it isn't the end of the day. I think the biggest problem for United is sales. And as Alex said here, player sales has been our ongoing challenge for many years, especially given our inflated wages. And I absolutely agree. And I think the thing is with sales is we can't even take the frustration out on INEOS because, everyone will be like, oh, INEOS have come in and they still can't sell players. It's because INEOS didn't give Anthony 200 grand a week. INEOS didn't give Sancho 300 grand a week. INEOS didn't give out these ridiculous wages. INEOS didn't sign these players they're trying to sell, so you've got to remember that. Until we actually get a proper wage bill and a proper wage structure, it's going to be difficult to sell players. We've signed Xerxes. Now, if John Murta and Richard Arnold signed Xerxes would be on 150k a week, going from Bologna's like 20k a week. We've signed Xerxes and we put him on about 60k a week, which means if Xerxes does flop, we're in an easy position to sell him. But Anthony, who was on the same money as Xerxes was at Bologna, we put on 200k a week because we were silly. We're absolutely silly. So no wonder Anthony was refusing to play for Ajax and pushing for the Man United move because we're offering him 200 grand a week. And I think the biggest problem we've had in a while is sales. And it's annoying because INEOS are trying to fix the wage bill and sort this out. But it's Casemiro, look at his wages. We ain't going to sell him. McTominay's got good wages. We could sell him. Lindelof's got good wages. We could sell him. But Casemiro, that's going to be difficult. Maguire, that's going to be difficult. There's players that's going to be difficult to sell. You look at Asensio of PSG. Asensio is a bench warmer for PSG. He's been told he's not going to play, and he's got an opportunity to go to Villa and play. Now they sold Diaby, and he's refusing to leave PSG for Villa, even though he'd play at Villa, and even though that Villa are a Champions League club and in a better league, because he wants to sit there on the ridiculous money that he earns at PSG, because some players do that. And because United give out ridiculous money, it's going to be incredibly difficult for us to sell a lot of the players that we will want to go out there and sell. We're probably not going to get João Neves, no. I think if United are smart, they should pretend they're interested in João Neves, because we are interested in João Neves. We don't need to pretend. If I was United, I'd go and put in a bid for João Neves. I would go put in a bid for João Neves, okay? With the assumption it's not going to be accepted. And the reason I do that is if PSG thought Man United are making a bid for João Neves, or Man United now going in for João Neves, okay, we'll give them Ugarte for the fee they want them for. Because PSG will not want to lose João Neves. And considering that they need Man United to buy Ugarte so they can afford João Neves, if we start pretending we're interested in João Neves and we're making enough for João Neves, I think that scares PSG into thinking lowering the fee. If I'm United and I put out reports that we are going to advance on João Neves, I'd send it to Romano, I'd send it to Ornstein. To be honest, I would generally send out to reliable outlets that we're looking at João Neves, because that would get PSG scared. And I think they would generally lower the fee for Ugarte, because I think this whole delay in transfers this week is all about PSG asking for an unreasonable amount of money for Ugarte. I think that's what's causing this whole sort of delay at the moment as well. We will not play at Villa over Bailey, no, but they've lost Diaby, who went to Saudi. Diaby rejected Saudi to go to Villa, and then a year later has gone to Saudi. I mean, he wasn't awful at Villa, but considering how good he was at Leverkusen, he was a disappointing signing as well. Luckily, the 3-year financial loss cycle helps us, but we're still taking major losses on most that we're trying to sell. We can't sell Anthony because it's 2 years. We could sell Sancho because it's 3 years, but Sancho looks like he could stay. Alice, what do we have to do to allow Victor Lindelof and Sancho play against Arsenal? I don't know. They can play against Arsenal in pre-season. They can. So Sancho trade for Ugarte and Simmons. Well, Simmons looks RB Leipzig bound, but if we could use Sancho in a deal for Ugarte, I think we should consider that as well. PSG just need to come off Ugarte valuation. Loan to buy would further help as well. Yeah, but the thing is, PSG want the money for Ugarte. They want it now because they want João Neves, and that's not going to be a cheap deal to do. So what else has been said in regards to Ugarte? Could Ugarte to Manchester United in fact be off? Well, it was said that some people at Manchester United are not fully convinced on Manuel Ugarte, and that was said by the very credible Mappeteers. Yesterday, we covered that in yesterday's show. Now, considering that it's come out yesterday, we're not fully convinced on Ugarte. We've had talks recently with Zubimendi. We've had talks recently with Yusuf Fofana. Could United be getting second thoughts about Ugarte? I think Man United would like Ugarte at the right price, but if it goes over 40 million because of his poor season at PSG, because of some limitations on the ball, they may look elsewhere at Fofana. They may look elsewhere at Zubimendi. I think that United do have some reservations about Ugarte, but the Mappeteers said the same about Amrabat last year, and we ended up signing Amrabat. I think we want Ugarte, but we're not 100% sure, so we're not going to overpay. And I think we are having talks with Hjulmand, we are having talks with Zubimendi, and we are having talks with Fofana on the side, just to be like, just in case. I do think that potentially it could be a negotiation tactic to put out this kind of information from United, but I do think that we are having a slight change in midfield plans. It was said by Florian Plettenberg that Manchester United have already made several verbal offers for Manuel Ugarte, but they've been too low. PSG are demanding the £59 million. PSG for the last week have not budged on their £59 million valuation for Ugarte, which, if you follow me, you'll know I think that's ridiculous. £59 million for Manuel Ugarte is an absolute joke. £59 million for Manuel Ugarte is a joke. You signed him for 50 million quid, and it wasn't very good for you. You signed him for 50 million quid. 2 weeks later, you got Enrique in. Enrique's thinking, why have you signed Ugarte? He does not suit what I want to do. And all of a sudden, Ugarte struggles at PSG, and now you want to make 10 million profit on a guy you brought from Portugal, who's only proven in Portugal, who flopped at your club. You want to make 10 million profit. Nobody's going to pay that. Nobody's going to pay that fee. So in regards to that deal, it's silly. And I think Man United know that's silly. And I think PSG know they're not going to get that. And I do think PSG will lower the price. Now, Man United want to get this deal done for £35 million. I don't think we will. £42 million, get Ugarte done. They want £59 million. They bought him for £50 million. We want £40 million. £42 million. I think you have to take an £8 million loss on him. If you signed a player and he wasn't very good, you've got to take an £8 million loss on him. I think we could get Ugarte over the line for £42 million. And if we can't get Ugarte for that fee, then yes, go for Zubimendi, because we can get Zubimendi for that price, who is arguably a better player. So go for Zubimendi. And if you can't, and you've got Yusuf Fofana there as well. Now, in an ideal world, we'd get Ugarte and Zubimendi, or Ugarte and Fofana, in an ideal world. But it's all about being smart and getting players for the right price, which is why we haven't got Branthwaite. It's why the De Ligt deal may be off, because we don't want to spend that kind of money on De Ligt. So I think it's United thinking, we've got to be clever here with how we spend. If PSG stick this valuation, they'll be stuck with Ugarte. And I still think we'll get Ugarte, because I think PSG will lower this valuation because they want to sell Ugarte. Enrique wants him gone and they want João Neves. And that won't happen until they sell Ugarte, and nobody's going to buy Ugarte. Not even Chelsea, who would spend ridiculous money on DMs, is going to go and buy Ugarte for that. So PSG will have to lower the fee, and I think we will be able to get Ugarte over the line because of that. I get asked this a lot, Ugarte or Zubimendi. Depends on the fee. If they were going to both cost 50 million, I'd get Zubimendi, but you're not going to get Zubimendi for much cheaper than 50 million. I think if we can get Ugarte for 40 million, that would be good, because that could then give us the funds to get a second midfielder on top. I would want both Ugarte and Zubimendi. I don't think we'll get both. I think Zubimendi is better on the ball. I think Ugarte's strengths might partner Maino better, but Zubimendi is better on the ball. So if Kobbie Mainoo's injured and we play Ugarte and McTominay as a midfield pivot, that's going to be shocking. Whereas if you played Zubimendi and McTominay as a midfield pivot, it's going to work better. Zubimendi would help the technical qualities of our squad in terms of progressing the ball, which is where we're weaker, and build up and technical security. But Ugarte would partner Maino better. So I would personally want both. That's why I've always said I want Youssouf Fofana, because he's got a mix of both of their attributes. And I think his ground coverage and physicality would be best for Kobbie. And Youssouf Fofana is available for 20-25 million. If we can sign Youssouf Fofana, that's a brilliant signing. But in an ideal world, both. I mean, obviously, Toby Collier, it'd be nice to see if he could step up. If Toby Collier steps up and does that Ugarte role, Zubimendi could be good. Zubimendi is 50 million, and those release clauses, they tend to want quite a lot up front. And that's the only worry with Zubimendi, again, is how much money would they want up front with the release clause? Would there be agent fees? And does Zubimendi want to come to United? With Ugarte, we know Ugarte wants to join Manchester United. We know Ugarte has agreed personal terms to join United and is given the green light to join United. Ugarte wants to join United, and PSG want to sell Ugarte. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So we're in a comfortable position with Ugarte, whereas with Real Sociedad, they don't want to sell Zubimendi. We've got to pay the release clause. We've got to give them a lot up front. And does Zubimendi want to come to United? So I do think, while I like Zubimendi, Ugarte and Youssouf Fofana in terms of midfield is the most realistic, assuming that we make a move for Youssouf Fofana quick. Otherwise, he'll be a Milan player. So let's see if we do a Xerxes repeat. I think Hjulmand could be one to watch. I think João Gomes could be one to watch. So what is the latest on the centre-back front and other sort of options and things going in and around United? It was said that Bayern Munich are insisting on 50 million euros for Matthijs de Ligt. However, United want to include add-ons as part of the structure. Manchester United don't want to pay 50 million euros, and de Ligt keeps waiting for United. Now, the very, very credible Simon Stone has said talks around Matthijs de Ligt to United have failed to reach a positive conclusion. There is an indication that United are walking away from Matthijs de Ligt. Now, like being said with Ugarte, could this just be a negotiation tactic from Manchester United? Could it be we're going to walk away from de Ligt, we're going to link ourselves to Chalobah, think we're going for Chalobah, and then Bayern lower the fee? Because Bayern, again, we're in a position where we know that PSG desperately want to sell Ugarte and Bayern desperately want to sell de Ligt, because Bayern have Tar that they want to bring in, and PSG have João Neves they want to bring in. So Man United know that these two clubs need to sell these players to get what they want, and these two players want Man United and rejected Champions League clubs to go to Manchester United. So we're in a strong position there because we have these players that want United. So is it, we go in for Chalobah, we walk away from de Ligt, Bayern lower the fee because de Ligt is pushing for the move to United and Bayern want to sell so they can bring in Tar? Is that the same with Ugarte? Ugarte is pushing to go to United. Bayern want de Ligt more than PSG want Ugarte. PSG do not want Ugarte at all. Bayern are okay with keeping de Ligt, but they'd like to get some money for him. So with PSG, I think we've really strong position because Ugarte can push for it. With Bayern, because de Ligt really wants the Man United move, potentially there's something that we can do there. But there is obviously reports and indications that Manchester United are walking away for a deal, on a deal for potentially de Ligt. Now, there is actually a report coming out, and now it's not come from the most credible source, that Manchester United are preparing a new bid for Branthwaite. There's now reports, news, and stories coming out about United preparing a new bid for Branthwaite. Do I think United are going to make a new bid for Branthwaite? I think we will. Do I think that bid will be successful? I can't tell you that. But I do generally believe that we're going to make a new bid for Branthwaite. I do generally believe that we're going to put a 55 million bid for Branthwaite, and I think Everton will reject it. We'll walk away from Branthwaite and we'll focus on someone like de Ligt or Chalobah, if I was going to be honest. It looks like Xavi Simons is off. If I'm going to be honest with you, in regards to Xavi Simons' Manchester United transfer, it looks like that deal is off. It looks like Xavi Simons will probably be going to Germany, but you never know. If something does happen with Sancho, maybe we move, but as said, indications are looking like Sancho will stay. Guys, we've got over 600 people watching and we're only on 136 likes. The goal is 300 likes. So if half of you guys watching right now hit that like button, it would really help me get my like target as well. Sign Rios or Chalobah for me, good bargain. Rios is apparently £17 million, but Romano's saying that there's not much interest there from United. He's just one that's being watched maybe as an Amrabat alternative. Now, there is one source saying that Rios is going to be £75 million, but I don't believe that. Chalobah's not a bad centre-back, seems quite expensive for rotation option. De Ligt, genuine contender to start, and I agree. I like Chalobah. I think Chalobah's a good defender. I think he was Chelsea's probably best centre-back last season. I think Levy Cole is their best centre-back, but he was their best centre-back last season. And I think if you can get him for £25 million, I'm not going to complain. But I would go for De Ligt because I think De Ligt is a starter. Unless you want, obviously Euro can be a starter, but because of Euro's inexperience, having someone like De Ligt that's won multiple trophies and played on 10 before would be better. Now, in regards to United's defence, Simon Stone said this. Talks with Bayern about De Ligt have failed to reach a positive conclusion. There's been 2 bids rejected for Branthwaite, and Man United are looking at Mazraoui, but that depends on Bissaka's future. Simon Stone is one of the best journalists out there. He doesn't really do much United news, but when he does do United news, you know it's accurate. He's saying, look, we want 2 centre-back signings. That is clear. We want 2 centre-back signings. I think we know that. He's saying we've failed to reach a conclusion with De Ligt. We have had 2 bids rejected for Branthwaite. We will look at bringing in another centre-back, but it will depend on fee. And at right-back, we're looking to bring in Mazraoui. It was also said on Chalobah by Ben Jacobs that Manchester United hold genuine interest in Chalobah. He is looking for a club after being left out of Chelsea's tour, and Chelsea want about £25 million. Romano is saying that Chelsea are looking for £30 million for Chalobah, but considering they're basically kicking him out of the team and not letting him go on tour, we may be able to get a deal for Chalobah for £25 million. And Trevor Chalobah, homegrown, Premier League proven, £25 million is a good option if we can't get De Ligt. But I generally believe that we can get De Ligt for £42 million, and I would rather spend that extra £15 million than getting De Ligt in. I know Chalobah could play right back, but I like Chalobah, and if we sign Chalobah, I'm not going to be mad at it. Like, I watched Chelsea last season, and he was better than Badiashile. He was better than Thiago Silva, to be honest, because Thiago Silva's aging, so that's not really count. But he was better than Badiashile, and he was definitely better than Disasi. He was a lot better than Disasi. Like, if I was a Chelsea fan, I would want Disasi gone, and I would want Levi Colwill and Badiashile as my left centre backs, and I would want Chalobah and Tosin as my right centre backs. And obviously you've got Fofana. And I would get rid of Disasi. But they want to get rid of Chalobah. But that's Chelsea. They're a bit, I don't know. The Chelsea haven't always been the smartest as well. Doué, please. Bayern Munich are reportedly closing in on a deal for Desiree Doué. So as much as I'd like Desiree Doué, that would depend on a sale of someone like Sancho. And yeah, I can't see that happening. He has been injury prone in the past, which is one worry. But that is the same with De Ligt as well. Fofana, Amrabat, definitely a possibility. I think so. I think, to be honest, we'll probably sign Amrabat late in the window, and it will drag out to deadline day. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. De Ligt was not starting over Euro. I think De Ligt could originally start over Euro because of experience of playing under 10 before, as Euro's moulded in. But I think that Euro was good enough to start. Like, I don't necessarily think that we need to sign a centre back and put Euro on the bench. I think Euro's good enough to start. That's why I liked the idea of Branthwaite for the right price. Because Branthwaite can play left centre-back and right centre-back. So we can start Euro with Martinez. And if something happens to Martinez, Branthwaite can play there. But if something happens to Euro, Branthwaite can play there. And not that Branthwaite will be backup, because I think he's as good as Euro and he's such a good player. But I just think that left centre-back makes more sense than the right centre-back. But if you're getting someone like De Ligt that's played under Ten Hag for £40 million, that's won league titles in 3 different leagues, that experience and what De Ligt brings in is just, again, so beneficial as well. Man United should get 40 million for Jadon Sancho easily. I think just 35 million, we've got to take it if we can as well. Like Muppeteer said yesterday, this is injury prone nonsense as a non-starter. I think we are generally interested in Chalobah. I think we're generally interested in Chalobah, and I think it could happen, but I do think the focus is on Matthijs de Ligt. Let's dive into the next story. So, what's been said in regards to Fullback and Manchester United's plans in regards to fullbacks? It was said that Manchester United must first sell Wan-Bissaka if they want to sign Bayern Munich right back Mazraoui. Now, West Ham do have an interest in Wan-Bissaka. There's a couple of clubs in Turkey and Italy that have had interest in Wan-Bissaka, and we want 15 million for Wan-Bissaka because we don't want to lose him for free next year, and we will look at Mazraoui as a replacement. The Mirror then said that Erik Ten Hag is keen to be reunited with Mazraoui, with Bayern willing to sell him for around £25 million. United are hopeful they can strike a deal for around £18 million in regards to Mazraoui. Now, here is where it gets interesting, guys. Paul Hurst. Erik Ten Hag believes signing Mazraoui could help unlock the potential of Antony. I mean, he's not wrong. But you know what my thought is? Instead of thinking, let's sign someone to unlock the potential of Antony, let's sign someone to unlock the potential of Kobbie Mainoo, who's 10 times the player Antony is. That's got to be the focus. And also, I would rather see Amad Diallo and Dalot on our right-hand side than Mazraoui and Antony. Now, I think Mazraoui is a good player, but Dalot and Amad are clear of Mazraoui and Antony for the last 2 seasons. Clear. You are not signing a player because you want to get the best out of Antony, who will sell next season and we won't make such an FFP loss on him because of the 3-year cycle. Because we could sign Mazraoui and Antony could still be crap. Now, I think there's a better player in Antony than what we've seen at United. But if we want to unlock a player, we want to unlock Kobbie Mainoo. We don't want to unlock Antony. We want to unlock Amad. Amad has more of a future than Antony, and he's 2 years younger, and he's better. So, I mean, that for all the reasons to sign Mazraoui, that is not one of them. I like Mazraoui, but if that is the reason you want to sign Mazraoui, that is not one of them. I know we're going to have to take a big loss on Antony. I know we're desperate to save it and hope that Antony becomes miraculously good in his 3rd season and it doesn't look like the worst signing of all time. But let's not sign a player because we think he'll partner Antony well. Vanderson's a good fullback option as well. Delot's been one of our best performers the last couple of seasons, so hardly excuse for Antony. Exactly. You know, I mean, Mazraoui's a good player to replace Wan-Bissaka with, but it's not about, improving Antony. I don't think Mazraoui will even improve Antony that much, if I was going to be honest. He can play left back, and that I want Mazraoui in if we lose Wan-Bissaka because I think he's a good player that can play left back, can play right back, and suits Ten Hag ball. But I'm not thinking about Antony. Here as well. We should sign a creative player like Desiree Doué. Look, I've always said this. Man United should go out there and sign a creative player like Desiree Doué. But because Manchester United's number 1 and number 2 priorities is midfielder and second centre-back, and we're not going to sign a winger until we raise those money and funds. And the reason for that is we've got to sign a second centre-back and we've got to sign a midfielder. If we sign a winger and we don't sell, we don't have the funds for second centre-back and midfielder. And while clubs that are good at selling could sign the winger and expect to sell and then get that second midfielder and centre-back because the winger is going to be swooped up, at Manchester United, we're not like that. We're not good at selling. So Man United are kind of in a position where, okay, we're not good at selling. We've never been good at selling. So, right, we can't bring in a winger until we sell a winger. So that is why we're missing out on Desiree Doué. And that's why I think if we sign a winger, it's going to be right at the end of the window. I think Ivan Toney's one to watch right at the end of the window. I think wingers are one to watch at the end of the window. Wingers is like, we want another winger, but it literally depends on the outs. It will massively depend on Sancho, but it will also depend on the outs of Lindelof, McTominay, Casemiro, because if we sell Sancho and we still have McTominay, that fund will go towards Ugarte. If we sell Sancho, we sell McTominay, that funds will go towards Ugarte, for example. So it's those things that make a massive difference as well. If we can't sell Antony, if we loan him out, we need to cover most of his salary. The only option is to sign someone who can help improve his sell-on value next season. I agree to an extent. Best case scenario is that Antony has a good enough season next season that someone sees potential and wants to buy him for around £30 million next season, and he's happy to leave. Amma will be the starting right winger. Antony has a few games here and there. He looks impressive, good bench option. People see the potential in Antony. He's back on track. Get a bit of money from him next summer, cash in on him, focus on the future. Best case scenario is Antony goes and scores 30 goals next season, has the season of his life, and we're saying let's keep Antony, and I'm sitting here doing a massive apology. But I don't think that wants to happen. I don't think that's going to happen, if I'm going to be totally honest with you as well. People say Antony should go out on loan. There's definitely potential for Antony to go out on loan as well. Chalobah's Mason Mount 2.0. I mean, injury-prone English Chelsea player that they want to get rid of, a little bit overpriced. Look, I don't think he's overpriced actually at 25 million. I think Mason Mount can be a good player at United. I think Mason Mount's got a lot of quality that he can bring to United next season. Would I have signed Mason Mount last summer? No, because I didn't think it was a priority. But I think he's a good player. I think he can bring a lot to United. And I think Chalobah could also be a good signing for United, but it wouldn't be my first pick. I wouldn't have signed Mason Mount. I would have signed Declan Rice. I wouldn't have signed Chalobah. I would have signed Matthijs de Ligt. The players that I like, I think the players that can bring a lot to United, but there's injury concerns and they're not my first choice. So that's how I feel on those players. But I think they're definitely good enough players. If we do not buy a winger, Frimpong could be an interesting option as right wing and right back cover, potentially. Does he want to go to United? He did in the past. It's interesting to see that no one's properly moved for Frimpong. I thought Manchester City would, considering Kyle Walker's kind of a bit washed, but yeah, I'm not really sure what's going there with Frimpong, but it could be one to watch. Frimpong, Vanderson and Mazraoui are United's options. But I want to talk about business that United's doing. I want to talk about other deals, other options, other things that Manchester United may be working on. And one of these stories is obviously on the likes of Jadon Sancho and his potential departure from Manchester United. So it was said that Jadon Sancho remains one of the players on the list of PSG. But as Romano said, no direct contact has been made with United. At the moment, it's not a proper negotiation. So there's rumours of Sancho to PSG, but there's been no official negotiation. My head's starting to hurt again, so I'm just putting the sunglasses back on. It was said Jadon Sancho remains one of the players on the list of PSG, but no direct contact has been made with United. At the moment, it's not a proper negotiation. It was then said, reports linking Bruno Fernandes with a move to PSG were overstated and noted that it would be a huge offer for United to allow him to leave. So again, there's been rumours of PSG going for Sancho, rumours of PSG going for Bruno. Bruno probably not going to happen. Sancho, he's open to the move. PSG have an interest, but they've not made any formal approachment. Manchester United and Bruno could discuss a new contract if he stays at United as well. And then it was also said that Man United do remain open to selling Jadon Sancho, but it will depend on offers. If he stays, there's a likelihood he stays, and if he stays, United are happy for him to stay. But I think deep down, Sancho wants out, and I think deep down, United may want him out. It was also said by Chris Wheeler that United will be based at the University of California for most of the tour. Mayno, Shaw, Xerxes, Martinez, Garnacho, and Pelistri will return from vacation too late to be part of the tour, which is a little bit annoying because I would really hope we would have got to send Xerxes on tour. I was quite excited to see what Xerxes could offer as well. Man United should now think outside players liked or not and go for players worth wearing the t-shirt. I think when we look at players, we've got to look at the value, but we've also got to look at are they good enough to play for United as well. It's good to have different player profiles. Bissaka is a classic right-back defensive option though, and though he's not rubbish running forward, we saw him make a good run that made Mayno score an opener as he opened space. I think Wan-Bissaka is a really good second right-back to have. Like, I'm more than happy for Wan-Bissaka to stay and be our second right-back, because you look at the cup final, he locked down Doku. You look at the other cup final that we won, he locked down Saint-Maximin. We've won 2 cup finals because of Wan-Bissaka playing a massive role in that. We've won 2 trophies because of the big role Wan-Bissaka played. Wan-Bissaka is a very good person to have as a second right back as a cup option. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very good guy to have in those one-off games. Dalot's the main guy, but that's the second guy. You want security, and you get that with Wan-Bissaka. The problem is Man United don't want to give Wan-Bissaka a new contract because he's not been good enough, because he's not a regular starter. So we want to sell him because we don't want to lose him for free. And if we sell him, Ten Hag wants a more attacking man at right back. Ten Hag likes attacking fullbacks. Wan-Bissaka's not attacking fullback. Would I keep Wan-Bissaka to back up to Dalot? Absolutely. I'd love that. I like Wan-Bissaka. But this is our only opportunity to get money for him. And there is some good options out there in the right back market who could even potentially put Dalot on the bench or put Dalot back at left back if there's injuries at left back. And, if there's something that happened at left back, Dalot can play left back, and we've already got a brilliant attacking right back on the right. I think that's what they want, if I'm going to be honest. So, look, I like Wan-Bissaka. I have no issue if he stayed, but I think you've got an opportunity to sell him there as well. Let me just say Anthony will, as a matter of fact, not score 30 goals. I don't think he will. Been discussed before, but Sancho Ugarte swap makes sense considering neither club's getting what they originally paid. Exactly. I agree with that as well, but I don't think it's being explored by United. Thank you, Diego. Diego says it may take 1 or 2 transfer windows to establish the squad depth in Ashworth's plan. Last season, your club suffered record injuries and players not being available for first team selection. I agree. At the end of the day, look, we might not have the best season next year. We might finish 5th. It might be an okay season. But people have got to remember this is still a long-term project at United. What is going on at United and what is being built at Manchester United is, in fact, a long-term project. And I think a lot of people forget that. I think a lot of people forget that this is a long-term project that we're working on. It's not going to be miraculously better in the space of a year. We should improve next season. We should see progress. We should see a pattern of play next season, but we're not going to win the league. We could. I mean, I'm not saying that we're not going to win the league, but I think what people have got to remember is this is a building process. This is a long-term process. This is a long-term plan at Manchester United. It's about building for the future. And next season is about progress. Do we play better football? Are we doing better? Are we doing better results-wise? Are we maybe getting 4th place and finishing above Villa? That's what we've got to see next season. And then the season after is when we want to kick on. So it is a 2-3 year project that United are building. Mazraoui's actually been quite good defensively as well and offers much more going forward. If Mazraoui can stay fit, he's a good player. The problem with Mazraoui is with all the injury issues we've had, do we want to buy another injury-prone defender as well? Catching up, but Xerxes approx on 105k a week, which is almost triple his wages. We do have to improve, but still need second offer. I read he was on 67k a week. Maybe I've read that wrong. Maybe there's a mix in sources as well. There's no doubt in Wan-Bissaka's defensive ability, but looking forward, he does. But going forward, he does look comfortable. I don't think Wan-Bissaka's is as bad going forward as people make out. But I think in the way that Ten Hag wants to play, he doesn't bring what he wants as well. I just don't see top clubs holding on to players like Wan-Bissaka, and I agree with what Alex is saying there as well. United don't want an upgrade on Shaw and Dalot. That's why Mazraoui is being considered. He's cheap, similar to Dalot, and versatile, and I agree. I'm more than happy for us to bring in Mazraoui if Wan-Bissaka's sold. If Wan-Bissaka stays, I'm not bothered. If he's sold, bring in Mazraoui. More than happy for that to happen as well. Guys, we have got some updates coming in that Manchester United have opened talks about signing Amrabat and are seeing if they can negotiate a deal for a lower price. So there could be some interesting movement on Amrabat to Manchester United coming in today. So do keep an eye on that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already to stay up to date on that as well. And apparently Manchester United are considering making a bid for Ivan Toney. There's interesting reports coming out that Man United could enter the race for Ivan Toney. And this is one that I said to watch. And this is one that's been reported by Ben Jacobs. So I do want to get into this Ivan Toney story coming about right now, but there's been some interesting updates on Ivan Toney to United here. Manchester United are considering entering talks with Brentford for Ivan Toney if his price tag drops below 40 million. Now, what's been interesting about this and what was reported by The Athletic is that while Brentford remain high on their price tag now, Brentford will not want to lose him for free, and Brentford could lower his price tag to just £30 million in the last week of August to make sure they get some money for him. So I think with Ivan Toney, nothing's going to happen now, nothing's going to happen in the next 3 weeks, but I think last week of August, Tottenham, Manchester United, Chelsea, those 3 clubs, potentially even Arsenal, those 4 clubs are going to be all in for Ivan Toney, because I think Brentford will be in a place where we have to sell him, and whoever offers the highest bid out of those 4 clubs can get Ivan Toney. They will not want to lose him for free. He wants to go. They know they're not going to get 60 million for him. They know that no club's willing to pay more than 40 million for him. So the price tag for Ivan Toney, I generally believe, will drop, and I think it will be a battle. And apparently he wants United. United would be his preferred choice. Now, I'm not 100% sure if United would be his third choice, but apparently we might be. But I think, Ivan Toney to United is a story that's going to advance, a story that's going to heat up, a story that's going to get interesting. Guys, we're on 255 likes and we've got over 650 people watching right now. So please do hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. We've got nearly 700 people in the chat. Can we hit 300 likes? I think we can. I'd really appreciate it if you do hit that like button. And, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I go live every single day, twice a day, keeping you up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. There was discussions going on about Man United loaning out Mazraoui, but Mazraoui's made it clear he only wants a permanent move. And Samuel Lutkers has also given an update on Manchester United and the midfield situation, which I'm going to dive into right now. So let me dive into this quick update coming out on Manchester United and their plans in regards for the midfield situation. It's just been said right now by Samuel Lutkers that Amrabat is still under consideration at Manchester United if they fail to make headway in a prospective deal for Ugarte. Rabi and Zubimendi are backup options, but a sale in midfield is required to facilitate a move. So again, probably saying what we already know, probably stating the obvious. Man United want Ugarte. He's the number 1 choice. We're not going to pay what PSG want, and we probably need a sale to facilitate the move. Man United need to sell a midfielder. We want to sell McTominay. We want to sell Casemiro. It's being difficult. It is being difficult. It could be that third emergency type striker option. Potentially, yeah. Potentially. I do think a loan could be beneficial for him. I think he's just not quite ready. I think he's a good option, but not quite ready. But potentially there. Like, for me, I like Ivan Toney. I think he's a good player, but we've got Xerxes, we've got Hjulmand. I think spending 30-40 million on Ivan Toney, as good as value for money that is, and as good as we used to have so many elite strikers in the day, I just think sign a winger. I like Hjulmand, I like Xerxes. They're going to be our main guys. They're going to be our main men. I don't think we need another striker. Like, Wheatley could do worse comes to worse. So I agree. Like, for me, we've replaced Martial with Xerxes. Xerxes got a better injury record than Martial. I think we should stick with it. We need a midfielder or 2 and another centre-back before buying striker. I agree. If I was going to bring 3 more signings to United, it'd be a centre-back and it would probably be 2 midfielders. And then maybe 1 midfielder if Collier really does impress this pre-season. But it would be a centre-back and midfielder. And then potentially someone that could cover left and right back if Wan-Bissaka sold. And then I would also go for a winger ahead of a striker. For me, I would want a winger, 2 midfielders, a left centre-back and a fullback option for coverage. They would be my signings I'd make, not a striker. Give Collier a chance to play that guy's fab. I generally think Collier's good. I think if Collier continues to impress in pre-season, we only get 1 midfielder, that's fine. If Collier just starts to fall off a bit in pre-season and doesn't look ready, 2 midfielders may be the option. But I do think physically, Collier's got everything we lacked in midfield. Now, I think Manchester United's biggest problem last season was a severe lack of physicality in midfield. I think, we were not good physically, we were not good athletically. We lacked technically, but we really poor athletically. And that's why we were so open and that's why teams could run through us. And some of it was probably because of Ten Hag's, transitional tactics demanded a lot. But some of it is because, Eriksen and Casemiro aren't good enough athletically to play Premier League football anymore, or they play the way we want. They could play for a lesser side. Eriksen had a very good Euros. So I think when Toby Collier comes in and he can cover ground with so much ease, cover space, cover large spaces, run, press, and do all of that, that was our biggest weakness. And that's probably Maino's biggest weakness. We need someone to do that to unlock Maino. So I think Toby Collier has the base attributes to do that if he can keep up what he's doing. And then maybe you bring Ugarte in, because you can't just throw Toby Collier in the deep end. And then Toby Collier and Ugarte can rotate as the 6. Maino and Mount can rotate as the 8. Mount, Bruno and Ahmad and Mount and Xerxes are all 10 options there. You can play Xerxes and Hjulmand. Let's say potentially Bruno gets injured. We play Hjulmand as the striker, Xerxes as the 10, Mount as the 8, Maino as the 6. There's a lot of mixations that can happen in midfield. So, yeah, I think that is one to consider. Toby Collier was very, very good. Can we get Dani Olmo? Yes, we can get Dani Olmo, but his release cost of 60 million euros expired 3 days ago, which means that we now have to pay about 100 million to get him. And unless Bruno Fernandes leaves, it makes no sense, because his best position is the 10 role, and we've got Bruno and Mount. That's best position is the 10 role, so it's not necessary. I like Olmo. He's had a very good Euros, but it's not necessary. For me, necessary positions are 6 and a second centre-back. Ideally, a second centre-back that could play left centre-back, but another defender and a 6. For me, it's getting Lindelof out, it's getting Casemiro out, it's getting Toney out, it's getting Sancho out. Those 4 sales, bringing in another winger, bringing in a second centre-back, and bringing in a DM, and potentially a second midfielder. But I do think Toby Collier has a very good and bright future at United as well. Someone said Hjulmand is terrible. How's Hjulmand bad? We signed him off the back of a 9-goal season as a 19, 20-year-old prospect. He came into the worst Manchester United side in history with no structure, with having less service created for him than any other United striker that's played a full season before. And he got more goal contributions than any player aged 21 or under in the Premier League last season. He was top scorer, or third top scorer of the Euro qualifiers, top scorer of the UCL group stage. He made so many goals on his own. Yes, he had bad games, but as a 20-year-old guy that was signed off the back of a 9-goal season, who then got 16 seasons for United in a really unsustainable system, while carrying an injury, while getting no support, while being thrown in the deep end, I think Hjulmand's a great player. And Hjulmand, people forget with Hjulmand, he wasn't Harry Kane. Hjulmand was a development project. We signed Hjulmand saying if he gets 15 goals, that would be a really good season. He got 16 goals. If you go back to my videos a year ago, I said people are going to remember that Hjulmand's not going to come in and score 20 goals. He's a 20-year-old kid. He's a development project. He's only got 9 goals last season. And I think people were expecting, he didn't get 20 goals. He's crap. Wait, he's 2021. 2021. It was a development project. Hjulmand was a long-term service. It wasn't he's going to hit the ground running as soon as he joins. And I think people forget, because we didn't sign Kane and we didn't sign an experienced striker, that wasn't the plan for Hjulmand as well. Guys, we're 5 likes away from the 300 like target. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I generally believe Hjulmand will be a very good player for United. I generally like Hjulmand. I think Hjulmand, Maino, Garnacho and Ahmad potential is top. I think Xerxes will be good. I think he'll work well with Hjulmand. Personally, don't get the Hjulmand dislike as well. He wasn't even a starter at Atalanta. We signed a player that didn't even start for Atalanta that had 9 goals as a development project, and he got 16 goals for us. I don't get the Hjulmand hate. I think it's weird. Yes, he needs to improve certain areas of this game, and yes, he wrestles players, but he's young. Garnacho's decision-making frustrates me, but I still think he's a quality player. That's how I see it. But anyway, people, I'm going to wrap up the live show here. Please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I should be back around 4 or 5 p.m. depending on the news. So make sure you got that post notification bell on. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.